Let's go! Legend! 1, 2, 3, go!
Hello, welcome to episode 10 of the Comic Con Community Podcast, and today I'm joined by Richard Woods. Hello, Richard.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
You are most welcome. So Richard is a board game developer. Is that your official title?
Yes, and bit of designer and publisher as well.
All rolled into one. So developer, designer, and publisher. So why don't you tell us a bit about, well, your love of board games and what board games you've worked on?
Certainly. So I've been started out really with board games for real around 2019 in terms of actually designing more as a hobby at that stage. Designed a game called Roots, which is about an airline strategy game, which I think be how we met initially, because I used the various clubs around the northwest of England, near where I'm based, to go and play test that, and got out just before COVID hit. Then obviously went online on Tabletop Simulator during COVID, but that was very much doing it as a hobby, essentially trying to pitch it to publishers to try and get signed and things, but I wasn't really developing games. I certainly wasn't publishing games at that point. So, but that's really where the love of actually going behind the scenes of games started for me, 6-7 years ago. And through that online playtesting, I happened to come across a game called Distilled, which is a game by Paverson Games. Dave Beck, the designer, now a good friend of mine, was showing it off and playtesting it online. But with him being in America, I joined a very late playtest. I think it started about 11 p.m. our time in the UK. And I watched about an hour of it, didn't play, just watched it at that point because I had work the next day, and fell in love with it straight away. And then a few weeks later, we got a full game of it with me and my friends that Dave kindly hosted online. And really, my love for it just grew into what was then going to be a start of a career, I suppose. So me and Dave got chatting. I suggested lots of different changes and improvements could be made, and we went back and forth, and we had a really good rapport there, just over the internet at that stage. And then a few months later, he invited me to come on as the official developer. So this would have been early 2021, a few months before the Kickstarter. And that's really when I suppose my career started in terms of actually doing it as a bit of a side hustle at that point. I've been doing project management for 20 odd years, not related to board games. Yeah. But then working on Distilled was a really great experience, put a lot of effort into that and really shaped the game that many people love now. I'm really proud of what we did with that. And then that led into me also doing the development and designing the solo mode with David Digby for Luthia, which is the second title from Paverson Games. So again, progressing that career, I suppose. And alongside that, I designed the Cash Strength expansion for Distilled, which is the mini expansion with a deck of cards, which was my first officially published game with my name on as the designer. And then what I did have alongside that, as well as other different games that I'd been designing and trying pitching to different publishers, was a cricket card game called Overs, which I designed a number of years ago. My son plays cricket for a local club. I came up with the concept when he was learning to play, based on the actual technical side of the sport and the different batting shots to play against the different deliveries. It was signed by a publisher. Unfortunately, that didn't go ahead. But then a couple of years ago, I decided just to self-publish it, the game. So I hired a artist and graphic designer called Rob Ingle, who's based in the UK. And together we created the game, which I was able to launch to the market in November 2 years ago. So it's been out just about a year and a half now. Game. So for those who are watching on camera, that's the game there called Overs, available now at Amazon. So that
on
is
Amazon, yeah. And you've got the matching hoodie as well, yeah.
I've got the matching hoodie as well. So that's very much my journey then into publishing, and I'm really building on all of the knowledge that I learned for working with Paverson Games on the two games and the expansions that I've done with those. Obviously, whilst my official title was very much developer, I did get a lot of insight into the behind the scenes in terms of manufacturing and things like that. But I also have met lots of different people in the industry as well. Chris from Unfringed Games, who do Zuli and Molehill Meadows, for example, he was really helpful in giving me some insights into how to bring Overs to the market as well. So it's really been a great journey, I suppose, from going from that hobby part where I was just designing games initially for fun, then trying to pitch them, then actually getting involved in developing games that are actually going to Kickstarter, to then actually bringing out my own, albeit much smaller, game as a publisher has been great. But it's still always been a side hustle for me for the last few years. Still working as a project manager But the great news is that from next month I will be going full time in the board game industry as a developer
Really? Wow, hot off the
with Paverson.
press. Amazing.
Yes.
That's really good news. I mean,
So,
Paverson do have a lot of games under their umbrella.
yeah. Yeah, they've got the two that have come out, and then there's a couple we might talk about later, which we're currently working on to come out this year and next year. And then there's others in the pipeline which I've not started working on yet, but obviously will be, which I can't say much
Right.
about, unfortunately.
No, no,
Yeah, so but
understandable,
the future's certainly
understandable.
bright. So yeah, going to be working for them, but alongside running my own little company called Matlian Games, which is what I publish overs with, and I might bring out one or two other smaller games over the coming years. We'll see.
Yes, I'll put the link to that in the comments as well. So if you
That'd
want
be
to check that
super.
out,
Yeah,
go to the
yeah.
comments.
If you like cricket, you like card games, then it's definitely for you. Or if you
Yeah.
know somebody who likes cricket, it makes a great gift.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's a nice little gift that you could give to somebody who loves
Yeah,
cricket and
yeah,
get it out there.
yeah.
Um,
Really proud of it. I think last week I officially sold the 3,000th copy of it. So
wow, I mean that's
really
that's
proud.
good going
Yeah,
for a card game. It's a tough market at the moment because obviously there's so many games out there. So to hit that 3,000, that's a good
yeah,
effort. Yeah, well
yeah.
done.
Waiting for my third print run as we speak. So it's
Right.
gone really well. Yeah, obviously got a finite lifespan. I'm sure in 3 or 4 years' time it won't be selling anywhere near as many, but for
Yes,
now
I think you
it's
could say
definitely
that
going
for
really
any
well.
game though.
Yeah,
Once
yeah,
especially with it being such a niche market,
yeah.
cricket. I mean, my dad used to play cricket, but I've never played cricket, so it's probably not so. But again, I mean, I've never distilled alcohol, but playing distilled is a great game. That was one of what my next question was. Have you ever distilled alcohol, and is that what made you love the game, or was it just you just played it
I've
and loved
never
it? It's
I've never distilled alcohol, but
right,
I do really love whiskey, especially Scotch whiskey.
right.
Jura is my favourite from the Isle of Jura. So it was actually on that playtest where I joined for that first hour. I saw it listed on the list for that evening. I'd already been on there since 7 o'clock. I played other people's games or playtesting one of my games. I can't remember. But I thought I need to stay awake for this. I need to stay up and see what this game about whiskey is all about. Um, so yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely had that connection to the spirit
yeah.
before playing the game, but then obviously playing the game just really captured me.
But I know Dave's quite a whiskey drinker as well. Does he do Whiskey Wednesdays where he does his live? Does he
Yeah,
still
that's
do
what he does
that?
his
Is
live
that
stream. Yeah,
yeah?
yeah, he does live
That's on
stream
the
for Whiskey
Paverson Game
Wednesdays. Yeah,
Facebook page.
he came up with the concept for distilled and the main removing the head and tail mechanic whilst he was in Scotland on sabbatical touring distilleries.
Wow.
Just came to him one night.
Right.
I'll let him tell that story if you get him on the podcast at some point rather than me trying to
Maybe,
rehash it.
maybe, yeah.
But yeah, very much that love for the spirit and then the research that he did into the whole history of it and the worldwide spirit industry really opened his eyes to it's not just whiskey, which is what the game was about originally. Before I even got involved, this is. But then obviously when he saw that you got the likes of soju and soshu and obviously vodka and rum and tequila and all these different spirits from around the world, that opened it up then into a much bigger worldwide
Hmm.
game that we see now.
Yeah. And I've also got a copy just there.
Yeah,
There's my
mine's on the
copy of
shelf just over
Distilled.
here. Just up
So that
there.
is a great game about distilling alcohol.
Hmm.
The next game that you worked on for Paverson was Luthier, which
Correct.
is. Do you want to give a quick rundown of Luthier?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I've got it and played it a lot, but I
absolutely.
think
It's
you'll
behind you
do
on
a
the shelf
better.
there.
It is.
Hmm.
It is just there. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll probably do a
So
better job than me of
it shares a
explaining
little
it.
bit of the DNA with Distilled. Obviously, Dave Beck is the co-designer of Luthier. He was the designer of Distilled. Abe Burson is the other co-designer of Luthier alongside myself as a developer. And it's actually a game that there's a blog on Board Game Geek if people want to go and check it out, where Abe and Dave have written a blog about how Luthier came about because Abe was working on that game for over a decade ago. He started really creating it.
Right.
Um, but it's a game all about crafting musical instruments in the golden age of classical music. So you are recruiting patrons like Mozart and Beethoven, and you are crafting instruments for them, be it a simple violin or a large pianoforte, whatever the requirements are that they have. But you'll also be going to perform music, repair instruments, competing for different objectives. So it's very much a medium-heavy complexity Euro strategy game
Yeah.
set in that golden age of classical music. So it's really thematic, just like Distilled, and that really is the hallmark for Paverson games, is those thematic Euro-style games where the mechanics and the theme very much interlink. But the best part of the game, and what Dave certainly fell in love with when he tested it initially, when Abe was still designing it, is just a hidden bidding core mechanic of it with that
Yes.
worker placement.
Yeah.
So you're placing your numbered disc down, face down in the planning phase, and then you reveal them all. And whoever's got the highest value gets to act first at a location, getting first dibs of
Yeah.
whatever might be there as well. So that's really what captured the his imagination when he first saw
Right.
it, and then he kind of then took it on to co-design it and really build it into a much bigger game. So it initially was just about violins and guitars and stringed instruments because that's what a luthier makes. But because of Dave's research again up in Scotland, visiting the museum up there, and again another story he can tell you better than I can. He very much saw that actually, it needed to be wider. It was the full orchestra, so we've got
Right. It's everything.
all
Yeah.
sorts of different instruments in the game that you can craft, and competing for that first chair in the orchestra as well. So there's a lot going on. It's certainly a step up in complexity compared to distilled,
Yes, it is. Yeah.
but it's obviously just finished fulfillment over the last few months, earlier this year, and just getting a lot of love at the moment from people, appearing in a lot of top 10 games from last year
Mm.
in those lists as well, which we're really proud of, and climbing up the charts on Board Game Geek, which is great to see.
Yeah.
Really big fan club for it, which is great.
I remember when I got my copy and we played it quite a few times over a small period, and I think we overplayed it because it was like every other week we were playing it, and it is a great game. But one thing I will say is it takes up a lot of table space. You
Yes,
need a very big table for it. I mean, that's a good thing because you just get so many components and the boards, and obviously there's the main board in the middle, and then everybody's got their own little section. And but it is a great game, and it's funny because had somebody just told me about the theme of the game, I'd have probably gone, "No, it's not for me." Just like with Overs the cricket game.
hmm
Um,
hmm
but I mean, I've played board game on. I can't remember what it was called, but it was about sewing dresses. I don't know if
Okay,
you've don't know if you've heard of it. It was like
I think so.
it was an old style one, but it was really good. And I honestly cannot for the life of me remember what it was called. But the aim was to like make these dresses, and it was really good. So it's not just the theme. Obviously, the theme helps if it's something that you're into, like cricket or distilling alcohol
Yeah,
or classical musical instruments. Um, but I think you can find love in any game, even if it's
absolutely.
just something you've got absolutely zero interest in. Like
Yeah,
viticulture is another
yeah,
alcohol related game where you're making wine out of grapes. So you're harvesting the grapes, and you go through the whole process of making the wine. And I've got no interest in. I don't like wine. I don't drink wine. I've no interest in making wine. But it's such a great game. So it just shows you it's not necessarily the theme of the game
absolutely.
that draws you in. It's but I think a lot of people don't give them enough chance. You've got to give it a chance. Give it a play test, or give it a go and see what you think, rather than just saying no, not my thing. Do you want to tell us a bit more about overs then? So how did that come about? I mean,
Yeah,
you said your
certainly.
son was
So
playing cricket.
yeah, so I mean he's 13 now, but I'm probably going back about 5 years, I think. He was just starting out learning the sport, and it's quite a technical sport for people who know about it. When you get different deliveries from the bowler in terms of the length and the direction of the delivery, there's different shots that technically you're supposed to play, because they're going to do better against that kind of shot. So, for example, if the ball's quite full, which means it's going to bounce quite near to you, you want to try and play with a straight drive bat where the bat is nice and straight, vertically, and just hit the ball back towards where the bowler's coming from, ideally. Whereas if the ball is maybe bouncing a bit shorter, so it's going to bounce higher when it gets to you, you want to try and maybe do a pull shot or a hook shot, which means you're going to be hitting it at more of a 90-degree angle to you, and get quite a lot of power to it. So there's quite a lot of stuff online that I was reading about when Matthew was learning to play, to try and help him really, and so
Hmm.
I could get involved in helping him and coach him as well and the team. And it's from that learning of that correlation between the shot and the deliveries that I just thought I could make a game out of this. And quite quickly, actually, I came up with the main part of the game where you play as a batter and a bowler. You've got a set of cards each. It's open knowledge. You know exactly what I've got. I know what you've got. And you play in one of your cards as a bowler. You're going to play a different delivery. So you're going to do a full delivery or a short delivery or something in between. And as a batter, you're going to play a drive shot or a pull shot or a cut shot, and they all do better against the different deliveries. So you're trying to outwit your opponent, trying to work out what it is that they're going to play next.
Hmm.
But as you play the cards, they don't come back to you until the end of six balls or an
Right.
over.
I know. Yeah.
So as the over progresses, your options as well as your opponent's options get less and less and less. So you're really trying to work out what they're going to play to make sure you can get the most advantageous shot against their deliveries. You can also play with a slightly advanced variant where you can choose to be either aggressive or more cautious as well, which might mean you're more likely to score runs if you're aggressive, but also more likely to lose your wickets, which is a bad thing. So
Yes.
very
Yeah.
much themed on the game and the sport, and but at the same time not making it too complicated. We've got a really great cricket game that I got on Kickstarter a few years ago, which really just tried to encapsulate the whole sport. You've got a board, which is the field. You've positioned your fielders and everything, but to play a game takes
Right.
2 or 3 hours, if
Yes.
not more.
Yeah.
So I really didn't want to go to that level. So it does simplify a lot of things within the sport, but at the same time, therefore, it makes like a 20-30 minute game that you can play with still having that battle, that duel between the batter and bowler. And obviously, you
Mm.
can play as many games as you want to try and sort of make it up into more of a tournament if you want, or play in 2 different teams. It doesn't have to be one-on-one. You can split into teams as well, as a kind of makeshift solo mode as well included. So
All
hopefully, it
right.
gives a lot of bang for a buck. It's only 14.99 including Prime delivery, so it's not an expensive game.
No bargain. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's something I'm really proud of, and I've been blown away by how well it's been received, as well as being on Amazon that I sell direct. It's also sold in 4 of the county clubs, and there's about 15 cricket/sport equipment shops around the country as well that stocked it last year, and I'm hoping we'll do again this year as well. So
Mm.
yeah, been really well received. Really proud of it.
Yeah. Sounds like it. Does your son play that as well? Is he? I mean, obviously he plays cricket. Does he still play cricket now? Or
Yeah, he still plays
yeah.
cricket now. Yeah, very much it's his passion. We were watching the England game this morning, so yeah, he absolutely loves it. He still plays overs. Him and his teammates were instrumental in helping me play test overs after
Oh, wonderful.
training a few years ago. So
Did
yeah,
they get a special mention in the rule book?
um, all of the players haven't, to be fair, but they all got one at discount price for Christmas. I think the year before last.
Ah, fantastic.
Pretty much the whole of Chorley Cricket Club got a copy of overs, I think, that year.
Tell your friends.
Exactly.
So, did you, as a child, did you use to play board games, or are you quite new to it?
I did play some board games as a child, but they were more the mainstream ones that everyone played, I think. So Monopoly, Cluedo, Escape from Atlantis was quite a good one that we played. I remember playing with my sister and my mum. Um, but really, as a child, I think it was more video games that I was into, especially in my
Yeah.
teenage years. It was more, as well as the PlayStation games, it was more Championship Manager,
Right.
or maybe like a more strategy game about building something like Zoo Tycoon or The Sims. Those kind of games was really what I did in my teenage years, alongside playing a lot of sport. So rugby and football were my main things that I was really passionate about when I was at high school, and at uni. But really, I think what led me into the board game world and the modern hobby of the board game world was actually Games Workshop.
Right.
So
Warhammer and then the
yeah, so
like.
I played a bit of 40k when I was a kid. When I was like maybe 10, 11, 12. But then kind of, like I said, went more into video games then. But it was when Lord of the Rings came out. I was at university, so the films. This is not the Tolkien books. I'm not
No,
old.
not that old.
So yeah, so when the Peter Jackson films came out in the early 2000s, I was at university, and Games Workshop brought out the strategy battle game for Middle Earth.
Right.
And that's what I got into that quite heavily for a couple of years. But then that when the films had been released, and the interest in that kind of died off a little bit, so I switched more to 40k at that point because there's a much bigger player base. I used to go
Mm.
to Manchester Games Workshop store quite regularly to play there. Went to a few little tournaments as well. But basically through that, I met some of my now really good friends who also played 40k, and it's that group of friends really that got me into the modern board games. I don't know, maybe sort of 12 years ago, something like that, 13 years ago. So I remember playing the likes of Dominion for the first time,
Yeah.
instantly bought it.
Yeah.
Zombicide, went out, and I think I played Zombicide maybe on the Thursday night that my friend had brought for us to play. And then we went down to the in-laws who are down south. And I remember hunting down a copy of Zombicide in a friendly local gaming store down there and bought it that Saturday, and then tried to play it with the in-laws and my wife. that evening. I just loved it. I can see that behind you, the
Yeah.
exact same original
And
copy I've got.
got Dominion there
The minions
and
there, yeah,
Zombies are
exactly.
there.
So
And funny,
there's
they're the
lots of
first
it
two
like that.
games I played as well.
Yeah,
Like Dominions and Zombies were two of the first games.
yeah.
And I probably started about 12 years ago, so probably the same
Yeah,
time
very
as you.
similar, very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of other games we played. I like Agricola was another one.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember really,
That
really
was
liking.
another one of mine. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but
crazy.
they were the big ones, weren't they, at that
Mm.
time? So that really started my love of it, and um, various reasons we kind of went away from Warhammer and Games Workshop. I still played a little bit of strategy battle game for Middle Earth over the years, but really my love then just transitioned into the board game
Mm.
and the hobby board games over the last sort of, like I say, 12 years or so, culminating in 6 years ago actually becoming a part of the behind the scenes in terms of designer, as we spoke about earlier. So yeah, lots and lots of games played, lots of really good times. I can't think of a better way to spend your free time,
No. No.
especially
That's right.
especially nowadays when everything's digital, everything's online.
Yeah.
And I still enjoy a computer game now and again, and my son quite enjoys playing them. But you just can't beat that face-to-face humour interaction that you get from playing a board game. And I'm so lucky to have a group of friends who are quite local, and we get together almost every week. Sometimes go away and just rent a cottage and just play games for the whole weekend together. It's so great. And they do play test my games every now and again, but I just love playing, published games, our favourite games together. And
Yeah.
to get as a group, we've got hundreds and hundreds of games between us.
Yeah.
So we're never wanting for anything. There's always something new to play, but we always come back to our favourites as well. Like we played Scythe just the other night,
Oh yeah.
um,
Yeah.
which we have probably a couple of years since we played that last, but that's another one of our favourites that we enjoy playing alongside more recent ones.
How long were you reading the rules for after not playing it for 2 years? Because it's it's
Not
definitely
too
one of
long.
those
I'm
games.
quite good. I think I'm quite good at remembering rules, to be honest with you. So not too long, and between us, maybe 15 minutes, we were up and running.
Wow, that's good going.
Uh,
We
it did help. We had one person who was new, had never played it before, so we did have to do a
right.
full teach. So that kind of helped give everyone a refresher by
Yeah.
doing a full teach. And there was one or two things you look up during the game, don't you? But
Oh, of course. Yeah.
um, I am quite good at remembering rules, I think.
Well, I suppose that comes part and parcel of being a board game
Yeah.
developer. It certainly helps. But we went to Lancaster Board Gaming Day last year, the prostate cancer one, and we played. Was it last year or the year before? Probably the year before. And we played Power Grid because somebody was selling it in
Hmm.
the Bring and Buy. So Matt bought a copy of it with the expansion. It was really cheap, and we played that. And I think there was 6 of us playing it, and it took 7 hours. Took probably 2 hours to figure out how to play it, but 3 of us had actually played it before. We'd just not played it for quite some time. So when we got it out, I mean, I just drew blank straight away. I was like, I've no idea, cannot remember a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it literally took us all day. I mean, we stopped for lunch and we had a few breaks, but yeah, it took pretty much most of the day to play. But I mean, it's a fantastic game.
You'll have to
But
teach me someday.
yeah,
Yeah, it's one of the games I've never played, but I've always wanted to.
right,
And a few people actually, when I was playtesting Roots, said it's similar in some ways to Power Grid because you're building the different connections, aren't you, between different
yes,
places. So
yeah.
it did remind them of that. So it's a game I've always had on my radar, but it's one of the games that actually no one in my group owns, so never
Right.
actually played it.
We'll have to have a
Uh,
word with Matt then, see if he
yeah,
can bring his copy along one week.
yeah, we'll have a game one week.
Yeah, definitely,
I'd love to
definitely.
try it.
So, in terms of games, I know this is probably a tough question, but at the moment, what is your
Hmm.
favourite game? Do you have a favourite?
So obviously not counting any of the games I've worked on,
Yes, because that would be biased.
because genuinely Distilled would be my number one.
Yeah.
But obviously I won't say that 'cause I did go to bed that night after playing online for the first time with my friends, and I literally said to my wife, I think I've just played my favorite game of all time, literally after one play. And this is when it was pure
Wow.
prototype, and it's more
Yeah.
like a spreadsheet in front of you rather than the player boards that you see today. So I just fell in love with it. So that would always be my number one, and I can't imagine that ever being beaten. But discounting that, my favorite games overall is probably like Brass and Art Nova, probably tied for first at the moment.
Right.
Probably the Lancashire version of Brass, just because that's where we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Both
although
fairly new
Birmingham,
games as well. Well, I mean,
yeah,
3 or 4 years is fairly new, I suppose.
I think Brass is probably a bit. Art Nova's definitely only 3 or 4. I think Brass is a bit older than that. I remember the Kickstarter for the I mean, the original Brass. was probably more like 15 years ago, I think.
Was it? Wow.
But
Right.
then Roxley redid it and did the Kickstarter, and that's when Birmingham came out as well. So I remember my friend had one of them, the Lancashire one, so I bought the Birmingham one. But then since I've also got the Lancashire one, so I've got both of them. So that's probably my number one game, and Roots was very much based on Brass in terms of the mechanic and the card play.
Right.
I kind of drew inspiration from that and Ticket to Ride as the main games. But there's also bits of Rebellion and Scythe in there as well when I was first designing 6 years ago. So they're probably my main games that I really like. But most recently, I'd say in the last year, I really fell in love with Cavango. I really like that game.
No, I've not played that one.
Picked it up at a local gaming store down south in the summer, just gone. And it's a simpler game. It's pass and play, card game, drafting, about basically building a nature reserve or sanctuary in the Kavango region of southern Africa.
Right.
Building out the producers, so you've got to get your fish and your insects and your trees and your grasses to then bring in the smaller mammals and the birds, etc. And then you get your lions and your tigers and everything, and then we'll eat those different animals and stuff. So you're building out that reserve, but also that ecosystem, which I really like about it. The theme really sings to me. I mentioned Zoo Tycoon before. I really like that kind of theme. I love going to visit zoos. Art Nova, similar
Yeah.
sort of theme, although obviously more as a zoo than a sanctuary. So that's been a really good game, and also it's not too complicated as well. So my wife really enjoys playing it. My 6-year-old plays it with us.
Right.
I even got my mum playing it over Christmas, which was she just about managed. But she's taught sort of nature and wildlife conservation and things like that when she was a teacher. So it was a theme really I was getting her to play it for,
Yes.
rather than
Rather than
mechanics.
the
But yeah,
actual game.
that's been a great game. And then more recently, I've only managed to play it twice so far, but for Christmas I got Obsession, because
Right.
I've heard about it over the years. Obviously, it's very well rated, very high up on Board Game Geek. So I wanted to give that a go, and I thought the Victorian theme as well might speak to my wife as well. She likes a period dramas.
Right.
So I've only managed to play it twice, but I've really enjoyed playing that over Christmas. We played it New Year's Eve, similar to your Power Grid. It was my second game, but everyone else was the first time playing. And there's 2 modes in Obsession. If for those who know, you can play a standard short game or a full long game. So I thought let's go for a long game. I've done the short one when I learned it with my friends, and we started at 9:30 at night. Did a full teach and setup and everything. Had a bit of 20 minutes, 30 minutes to welcome the new year in, and then I think about 2:30 in the morning we finished playing it. It was quite a long game,
Gosh,
but it was
that is a
brilliant.
long one.
It was a brilliant game. So I can't wait. And following that, the following day, I think I ordered a couple of expansions of the Metal Coins. So I've got those to try out at some point. So that's probably my current one that I'm really keen to play very soon.
I mean, even if a game does take so long, if you're enjoying it, it's fine. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It's like with the
absolutely.
Power Grid. We didn't want to stop. It wasn't like, oh my god, let's call it a day. We carried on playing it, saw it through to the end. It was a great game. But yes, some games just take a little bit longer than others.
Yeah.
So what are your plans for Roots? Is that still something you're trying to push, or have you shelved it for now?
It's kind of sat on a shelf. I have pitched it to various publishers, but unfortunately, I've not had any takers. I mean, a few have looked at it and played it and shown some interest in it, but unfortunately, it's not gone anywhere. So it's on a shelf. Maybe I could self-publish it in the future, but at the moment, I've got no intentions to do that.
Probably going to cost quite a bit more than
Oh yeah,
Overs. There's a lot of components in there.
I'd have to kickstart it. It'd be the only way to raise the money to actually get it made. I couldn't fund it myself like I did for Overs.
Yeah.
So yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's an
Never
option.
say never.
That's an option.
And it's one of those as well. I've not made any changes to it now for a couple of years probably. So as I get more and more experienced, maybe I'll go back to it and think, oh, actually, I could do this a bit differently and make the game better. So it's always one that'll always be my baby. It's always the one that I started with. So who knows? But for now, it's just out on the shelf. But I've got it here. It's literally just
No,
a
there we
game.
go. I mean,
Yeah,
it looks...
the back of it is a board game compendium. Just stolen the box.
Right.
But yeah, I've got a copy that I can play at home, which that's what counts, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, exactly. What I mean in terms of, obviously you do this with Paverson, but about going to an expo and demoing it there. But I mean, obviously you go to the expos anyway because you go with Paverson. Have you got many of those lined up for this year? Obviously you'll be UKGE, which is in
absolutely.
end of May.
End of May, start of June, yeah, that weekend. So the next one will be Aircon in Harrogate. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's probably my favourite convention in the calendar, because it's so chilled. It's all about the game, and there is an exhibition hall where you can buy some games. So last year I got Ticket to Ride Legacy there, whatever
Right.
it's called, Legends of the West, I think, that we played a few times since. But really, most of the halls are for open gaming. For the last few years, I've had a demo table in the demo zone. So there's about 12 or 15 tables of various different publishers and designers, just showing off games in the making, really. So yeah, they're not for sale; they're just for you to come and demo. So I've taken routes there. I've taken various of my games there just to play test with people and get feedback. Last year, I took a couple of Papers and games there to get loads of feedback as well. The two that are coming out recently, so it's in the near future. So I just love the atmosphere of Aircon. Lots of friends that I know there, both other publishers or just gaming friends. So it's so cool. So I can't wait for that. That is the 12th to the 15th of March for those that are interested.
Yeah, I like it.
Um,
Yeah.
then, like you say, after that will be UK Games Expo, which I absolutely love as well. It's a very different beast. Certainly when because Paverson Games do exhibit there, and have done now for the last few years, and every year we get bigger and bigger.
Mm.
So it is very much a working convention as opposed to more of a fun convention. There's not as
Yes.
much time
Yeah.
for gaming, even in the evenings you chatted. Although not as bad as Essen, which I'll come to. But I do just love because the relationship that you have with all of the different people that are volunteering for the group. Lots of them come back every year and work with us, and they're just such good friends. Um, my brothers have been working for us as well there a couple of years ago.
Right.
Hoping to get them back one time. So it's just great to be around like-minded people, isn't it, for the
Mm.
weekend? Whether you're
Yeah.
working or just walking around and seeing different things. But I love nothing more than demoing a game that I'm passionate about, that I've been involved in. I've got so many great memories over the years. Whether that's Roots taking it to your club or other clubs around the northwest and seeing the joy in people's faces when then something goes their way in a game, and that's exactly the same when you're doing that at games expos, um, even the games that you've not necessarily designed yourself but been involved in. It's
Mm.
such a good feeling to see people enjoying the games. I love that part of it.
Yeah.
And if I could do a convention every weekend, I would. I'd probably be shattered and probably die at some point
Yeah.
from exhaustion.
You could just take
Maybe
weekdays
every
off
two
though.
weeks.
Take
Maybe every two
weekdays
weeks.
off and just do the
Yeah,
weekends at the
I'll
expos.
have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off, and then I'll just do the
Yeah.
expo.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I love it. And then for the last 2 years, and again this October, I'll be doing Essen in Germany,
Right.
which is the biggest one in the world. It makes UK Games Expo look quite small.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, maybe 4 times as big. Um, the first time I was there, it was quite overwhelming because it is so big. I literally had to get out of the halls and just get some fresh air at points and just get out of the noise.
Yeah.
But last year I had a really great time there. So I can't wait to go back again and do that, and again just show off the games that I've been working on with Paverson Games.
And will Dave be joining you over at Essen?
Yes, yeah, very much so. Yeah, we've got a
Wow.
much bigger stand. I can't remember if it's twice or 3 times the size we had last year.
Wow.
It's going to be huge. Yeah, so he very much sort of lives for that as well. He loves
Mm.
the Essen. And I think partly because of me and the connection to the UK and Scotland as well. That's why he does the UK one. He obviously does
Yes.
the big Gen Con in America, and he's done others in the US over the years as well. But the big three for him now are Gen Con, UK Games Expo, and Essen that he plans to go to. And it's great because when he does UK Games Expo, he comes over and stays at my house for
Right.
a couple of days beforehand, try and get over his jet lag, and then we drive down to Birmingham together on the Wednesday, and yeah, it's just brilliant. In fact, this year he's coming to Old Trafford Cricket Ground with me on the bank holiday Monday
Ah.
before UK Games Expo,
Right.
and
Get him
I'm
into
taking him to
cricket.
see his very
Yeah.
first cricket match. He's been to watch my son in the last couple of years play, but he's going to watch his first professional cricket match
Right.
this May. So hopefully he'll have a good time. I'll ply him with beer, he'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And has he got a copy of Overs as well?
He did, yeah. He got one for Christmas when
Wonderful.
it first came out as a present, yeah.
Excellent. That's good. So in terms of Essen, do you just turn up like for the? Do you go? Do you make it a bit more of a holiday, or do you just turn up
I haven't
like the
done.
day before it starts?
Yeah. So 2 years ago, I went and helped with the setup. So that's the Wednesday because Essen's 4 days as opposed to just
Hmm.
3 days, Thursday through Sunday. So I went and did all the setup on the Wednesday and then helped run the stall the weekend. But we had a tiny stall that year, to be fair. Last year, because unfortunately Essen has been pushed back to October half term, or at the end of the half term week, which is where traditionally we go away on holiday. I missed the setup, which I'm obviously gutted about,
Yes,
if
of
Dave
course.
asks.
You missed the hard
Um,
bit.
but because I took the family to Euro Disney or Disneyland Paris,
Right.
so I literally flew from Paris to Germany to go straight to Essen on that
Right.
Wednesday, and then
Wow.
met up with everyone on the Thursday morning to the actual start of the show.
That sounds like a crazy
So
week. Yeah.
I managed to do both. Yeah, I was away for about a week and a half, but fortunately the suitcase was big enough to fit everything in.
I remember coming back from Essen when I went. I've only been once, and my bag just completely split. And there's a machine at the airport that shrink wraps your bag for you. So you put your bag on it, and it just spins and applies a big layer of cling film essentially
Okay.
to your bag to stop things from falling out. Yeah, that was an experience.
Yeah,
We
I
bought a
bet.
lot of games.
I'm
Um,
very good when I go to expos not to buy too many because I just don't have the space or the time to play loads.
Yeah,
But
I'm a sucker for a bring and buy though. I love the bring and buy at UK Games
okay,
Expo. It's just there's so many games in there and so cheap, and you know there's the app as well, so you can see what they've got in stock and where it is roughly, even though it's never actually there when you get to it. But I love it. You know, I'll go in
yeah,
many times over the weekend. Yeah, it's brilliant.
excellent.
So in terms of Gen Con, are you getting a trip out there at all? Is that
Not
on
as
the
yet.
cards? No.
I think it's definitely on the cards for the future. But as yet, probably not this year. Maybe next year. We shall see. The challenge is it falls in the summer holidays for the schools, so having two younger kids being away for maybe a week and a half to do something like that is not always possible. So
Yes.
I have to limit, especially when I'm away for Games Expo, Aircon, and Essen. So there's only so many times I can go away without the family being with me that I can get away with.
This is true. Maybe you need to
But yeah,
make a holiday out of that as well. Take a
that's
trip.
absolutely yeah.
Take a trip
That's the
over there.
option. They can have a look around the states while I'm there working.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So how about Paverson's current games? What have they got? What have you got lined up for this year and the future?
Yeah, so there's a couple following on from Luthia that I've been working on now for just over 18 months, probably. Um, Neither designed by myself or Dave. So he's actually had other designers pitch to him. He gets various different submissions every month. And there's a couple of games that really stood out for him that he signed, and I've been working on to develop them. One of them is called Class of '89, which is designed by Corey Jordan, and that will be coming straight to retail with a pre-order via the Paverson website in Q4 this year. So that is something that we're currently trying to finalise. I was literally talking to him about the solo mode earlier today for that. So that's a really cool game about building a high school yearbook, obviously set in the States. And whilst I never had a yearbook when I was at high school, and I think a lot of people maybe over in the UK and Europe maybe didn't do that. I think because
Mm.
of the exposure we've had to all the different American shows and everything, I know what a high school yearbook is, and it
Yes.
just makes
Yeah.
sense to me. And I've been really blown away by how popular it's been. So this is one of the games, like I say that I was demoing and playtesting at Aircon last year in a much more prototype form. And it's a game that you've playtested a couple of times
I
with
have.
your
Yeah.
gaming group quite recently, in fact. So it's been really great to see that reaction, even in the UK, of people really getting the theme and really enjoying the theme of the game. But I've been able to put my own stamp on it. So I've introduced the worker placement that's in the game. I've introduced various different mechanics as well to try and tie different things together, which is very much my role as a developer is to look at what's working and try and enhance that. Maybe look at what's not working and try and tweak it or remove that, and
Mm.
maybe look at where are the gaps and maybe just fill in those gaps with different things to make it more of a complete product, which is hopefully what I've done. So as I say, that's a game that's going to be coming direct to retail in quarter 4 this year. Can't wait for that to come out. Really, really enjoy playing that. And then the other one is a game called Ringyo, which is by Charlie McCarran. That will be on Kickstarter in the summer, probably around July time. The Kickstarter page for that has actually just gone live. So if people want to have a look at that, they can sign up to follow it and be notified when that launches in July. So this is a game set in feudal Japan. And you are playing as a provincial owner or daimyo working for the emperor or the shogun, who's in just on the outskirts of Edo, which is Tokyo in modern days. and really trying to manage the sustainability of the forests using the shogun, and then so there's using the samurai to try and manage your board and your province board to make sure that you're not just chopping down all the trees and just to build all the different structures, because then you're just going to get flooded. And it's a really cool mechanic of really pushing you to want to do all these different things, but at the same time making sure you're trying to also protect yourself from the floods, and being that sustainability part of it as well. So it's kind of worker placement, but you're just putting the workers on your own board, so it's more action selection using the placement of workers. But I've been able to introduce some really nice, albeit quite small, interaction between the players, because it is simultaneous play in the main, where you are bidding against each other at the start to get the best dibs on the different gifts that you get from the Shogun, and also to determine the priority order for when you're fulfilling the demands of the Shogun at the end of each round as well. So it's a really cool game that I absolutely love playing. And like I say, that's coming to Kickstarter in July. So look out for that game called Ringo.
Ringo.
They're,
And
they're,
both
they're
of
the
those
two.
will be at the UK Games Expo and Aircon and
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Essen
I'm,
this
I'm
year.
definitely gonna. The plan is to have the 89 game as a not a final production version, but actually with proper art and graphic design at Aircon in 5 weeks' time, and getting some playtests of that in, mainly to feedback on the graphic design and the
Mm.
artwork, and make sure we can get all that right before that goes to print over the summer. Probably won't be doing Ringo at Aircon, but we'll definitely have it. 'Cause that's a bit further behind in terms of art and graphic design, but we definitely should have that at UK Games Expo to
Right.
show off a kind of initial prototype with some art and graphic design ahead of the Kickstarter in July.
And of course, you'll have Distilled with expansions and
Distilled will be
Lufia.
there, yep. Yeah, the big thing I've not mentioned about Distilled that we've been working on over the last 18 months as well is the cocktails expansion. So
Yes.
all being well, that will be available at the UK Games Expo. That should have hopefully fulfilled to people around May time. That was on Kickstarter last year. So that was a game I co-designed with Dave. It's an expansion for Distilled, but as opposed to Cash Strength that I mentioned before, uh, Cocktails is a full-size Ticket to Ride box
Oh gosh.
um, in
Where am I
size.
going to put
So
that?
exactly. So there's lots going on with it, but it really does add lots of different strategies, lots of different ways that you can expand your distillery, whether that's crafting cocktails or trying to fulfill the demands of the different collectors from around the world, competing for the different spots on the world map as you spread your fame or your renown around the world as well. So it's a really cool expansion that really does elevate Distill from more of a medium game to a much medium heavy kind of game. So you're doing a bit of a bigger table to fit it all on, to be fair. Although we've made sure it fits on the Luthier playmat. So yeah, that's something that I'm really proud of as well, and can't wait for that to come out. We kind of finished that at the end of last year. That's now being manufactured as we speak.
Right.
As I say, to fulfil to people around May time, I think, and hopefully have it for sale at UK Games Expo and definitely Essen.
Excellent. I look forward to that. I know nothing
Yeah,
about that because I know you. I did keep seeing it on Facebook, being pushed, and there was videos on it and there was
yeah.
articles on it, and I just resisted. I did buy it obviously as soon as it came, available. I ordered it, but I know nothing about it, so it'll be
Okay.
interesting when it turns up.
Yeah,
It'll be a first glance for me because I've
yeah.
just not
The best
seen
thing
anything about it.
the best thing it adds, and you can play just with this, but you don't have to do the cocktails or the collectors or the renown map. You can just get a second washback. So for those who
Right.
don't know distilled, you craft your spirit in a washback where you're adding your sugars, your yeast, and your water. But you can only make one spirit per round, and there's 7 rounds. So in a game of distilled, you're making 7 spirits. What cocktails adds is that second washback. So now you have to pay for it, but you can then make 2 spirits in the same round as long as they're different spirits. So you can just
Right.
play with that second washback if you just want to make your games of distilled that little bit bigger, allow you to
Yes.
do a little bit more in your games. Or if you want to go whole hog, you can obviously add in the cocktails and the collectors and the map as well.
Had the whole thing.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's really cool, and there's lots and lots of awesome add-ons as well that people can pick up to deluxify it as well. We've got like a cocktail shakers and ice or dice that look like ice and things like that,
Ah,
and they're little metal
cool.
standees for the cocktail glasses. So it's really really cool. Can't wait to get my hands on that, a proper
Hmm.
copy, and see people getting it in the next few months.
Yeah, it sounds good. Sounds
Yeah.
good. Do you? I mean, in terms of expansions, do you do you buy many expansions? I mean, I'm generally I'm not one for expansions. I think if I've got the base game, most games for me are just like unless it's something amazing, I'll just stick to the base game. Obviously,
I think,
Distilled is a bit different because I was involved with the playtesting
yeah,
of that, so I'm kind of same with Tristan's games. I always buy them because I know Tristan. You know, so but yeah, how do you go on with expansions? Is it something you often?
I do. I'll probably say often, not always, but often. Yeah. So Art Nova, I love the Marine Worlds expansion for that. That was an instant buy. I bought both of the map packs as well, just to add more variety to it. But
Mm,
then I've drawn the line on obviously what they had out. Was it last year on GameFound? I think they had all the 3D models that you could buy and spend hundreds of pounds on,
yeah,
making it no gameplay, but just
just
it
just
make it look
models.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Fortunately, some friends have backed it all, so I'm looking forward to playing their copy of it. But I resisted on that. But certainly, when it comes to gameplay, I do love an expansion. Like I said before, the Obsession one. After playing it just a couple of times over Christmas, the next day
Mm.
I went and ordered a couple of expansions of the Metal Coins. So yeah, I do like an expansion.
Yeah, I mean, ones that add obviously gameplay. I'm thinking more like
Yeah,
one that springs to mind for me is this is one that I am glad I've got is Machikoro the Harbour expansion because Machikoro on its own I don't know if you played it but it's like a very basic. There's 10 cards and it's always the same and it's not very exciting. Whereas if you had the Harbour expansion, it opens it up as a being it's almost as if it's a completely different game, and it just
yeah,
adds so much to it. But in general, I don't know. I just tend not to bother with the expansions because I've got the base game. I enjoy playing the base game, and
yeah. And I think
it's a
you've
tough
got to
one.
want to play the game enough to make the
Yes,
expansion worth it. So there's definitely games I've got like Dominion. There's lots of expansions for Dominion, but
yes,
I don't play it enough to warrant maybe going and getting them.
mm,
Um, Whereas like Quadropolis, I can see behind you, there's a little mini
yeah,
expansion for that, which I think is great that I added in as well. So when you play a game enough, I think it's definitely worth getting those expansions to add that variability and
mm,
replayability, um, and also sometimes to make the game better. So Marine Worlds, I do think makes Art Nova better. I think a lot of people would say the same.
yeah.
So
I think the problem with me
sometimes it's
is as well. I don't play games enough. I'll play a game and then I probably won't play it for 6 months.
yeah,
Which is a big problem because when I do go to play in 6 months, I've completely forgotten how.
yeah,
Unless it's, I mean, obviously Dominion's an easy one. I've played that hundreds of times, and it's not complex. Luthio I've played a lot recently, so I could probably just set that up and get going. But a lot of games, I'd get it out, and it's going to take at least half an hour before we make a start by the time we figured out
yeah. That's
how
it.
to do everything. I took SAS Rogue Regiment to AaronCon, which is don't know if you've heard about that. It was up at
Yep.
Lancaster Uni.
Hmm.
So I took SAS Rogue Regiment, and I don't know if you've seen that, but we spent about 45 minutes setting it up, and I think we took one turn, and then we put it away again because it is really complex, and we'd probably not played it for at least 6 months.
Right.
And it's one of those games where there's just so many rules, and the rule book isn't really in the order it should be. So there's no like, here's your setup, here's your turn order, and it's just there's different bits all over the place. So I'm looking at the rule book going, but what about this? And I was backwards and forwards, and in the end I just said, I'm just gonna put it away because it's been 45 minutes and we've not actually taken a turn yet. And it's a shame, it's a good rule book goes a long way.
Yeah, you've got to put the effort in sometimes. I think to ahead of that because you don't want that experience.
No,
So again, I don't want to go on about it, but when we first played Obsession, just after I got it for Christmas, I think I was playing with my friends on the Sunday morning. So I spent literally 2 hours Saturday night getting it out, learning how to set it up, going through all the rules. So I could then go in. I didn't know it off by heart, but I could then go in and
yeah,
do a semi decent teach the next morning. So I think you've with the heavier games like that, you've kind of got to sometimes put that effort in to help with
mm,
friends trying to learn it. That we had an experience we had a weekend away up in the lakes a couple of Novembers ago, and I can't remember the name of the game now. I can visualize the one about the nuclear power, quite recent.
the Power Grid one. No,
No, not Power Grid. No, it's like almost like a cyberpunk kind of style, but
ah,
Nucleum, it's called.
oh right, right.
My friend got it. I think he kickstarted it or whatever it was on. He had it for well over a year before, but we'd never played it. He'd never decided to try and learn it. But we had this. It was the Sunday of this weekend away, and we just said, I really wanted to play it because I'd heard good things about it. So let's just get it out. And the 4 of us, like similar to you with Power Grid, we probably spent 6 or 7 hours setting it up. learning it from scratch and then playing a full game. Sadly, we haven't played it since, and that was over a year ago, as I say. So
Oh no.
we'd probably be starting from scratch. But it was really
Yeah,
good. But yeah, because he hadn't put the effort in, it did kind of take a little bit of time
it
on that
does.
Sunday to play it. But that's what going away for the weekend allows you to do, I suppose.
Yes, we went through a phase of meeting up at Fastback in Blackpool, the local gaming school, because my son and Matt's son play Pokemon there on Sundays, the card game. So we went through a phase of we would stay there and we'd play board games, and we would go through our shelf of shame. So we would pick games that we've never played or haven't played for a very long time, and we would spend 3 to 4 hours learning the game. Even if we didn't finish it, it was an opportunity to kind of learn it and go through that process. I got SETI, the Search for
Oh, I
Extraterrestrial
want to try
Intelligence.
that. That's another one I really want to play.
That took probably 90 minutes to just get going because we had to punch it and then we had to read the rules. And it's not that complex, but it's when you're looking at the rules, it looks complex and there's
Yeah.
a lot of options on there. And you need to figure out the best move, what do I do first kind of thing. And yeah, it took us about 90 minutes before we even took a turn. But, after that, we did manage to get a couple of rounds in, I think. I think it was a few games before we actually finished it. I took it to games night a few times, and it was a few weeks before we'd actually got to finish a game because it is a long one.
Right.
But yeah, we just took that opportunity on Sundays just to say, I've got all these games, I've not played any of them. Let's learn them, and it was good.
Yeah.
I took Firefly along. Don't know if you've seen that one, but that's also a good one. But again, there's a lot to it. So we spent an hour just going over the rules, and we tried to watch a video beforehand as well. But yeah, it's definitely a better option than just turning up with a game, opening it, and expecting to be able to play it off the bat.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of a rule now we have in my group that someone has to have learnt it beforehand.
Yeah, definitely helps.
hmm
And that brings us to the end of today's podcast. However, there is one last section at the end, which is the 5 random questions. Now,
Okay.
this week, I'm terribly unprepared because I have not prepared some random questions. However, Google.
You're more prepared than I am because I don't know what these questions are.
Well, this is true. This is true. And thanks to the power of the internet, I have some fun and quick questions. So, first of all, question 1: what is the weird smell that you actually enjoy? Is there a weird smell that you enjoy smelling?
Oh my word.
Yes, told you they were random.
I do love Vicks or like vapor rub kind of
Oh yeah, yeah.
menthol.
That is a love it or hate it kind of smell, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have that. If you had intro music, what would it be?
Ooh. It'd probably be Eye of the Tiger because that was number 1 when I was born.
Oh, was it really? Oh, there we go. So it is relevant, but
Yeah.
that is a great theme.
It's a good intro song, isn't it?
It
as well,
is
yeah.
definitely, yeah. I expect to see that at UK Games Expo as you're coming out
Absolutely.
with the board games.
Yeah.
What random fact do you know that not many other people know? Do you know any random facts? Maybe you don't.
Hmm. On the spot, I can't think of one. I've been
If-
watching some TikTok videos recently where they talk about like scientific kind of stuff, and there's probably some from there, but I can't remember what they are right now.
Right. Well, if you remember, I'll put it in the comments below. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Normally, I would say I'm a morning person, but tonight I'm going to be a night owl to watch the Super Bowl.
Ah, valid excuse. Yeah.
Mhm.
And are you getting up early for work in the morning?
No, I'm not working tomorrow. I've already told the wife that she's getting up to take the kids to school.
Right, you're having a lie-in after staying up so late.
Yep.
And the last one, I think this is the 5th one. If you could travel back in time, where or when would you go?
Ooh. Probably sort of like the industrial side. Obviously, being from near Manchester, I grew up in Salford. That's where I'm from, and just going back to be part of that kind of industrial revolution period, linking back to the brass being
I
my
was
number one
going to say,
game.
is this a brass thing?
Yeah, I think I'd love to just be there and see all of that because it must have been like the Stephenson's rocket and the introduction of the railways and all of that. I love railways as well. So yeah, being there to see all of that invention and growth that was in the northwest of the UK at that time.
Hmm.
Would be really fascinating. I'd love to go and see dinosaurs as well and things like that. But
That's a bit
um,
dangerous.
a bit dangerous, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But Jurassic Park's my favourite film,
Yeah.
so I'd love to do something like that. But yeah, I think I'd just be really, really interested in that period of history of where I'm from.
Right. That's a good answer. Well, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
You're welcome.
I
Thank you
hope
for
you
having
enjoy
me.
your Super Bowl. Don't be staying up too late. What time does it start and finish? Is
I
there
think
a
it's about 10:30, 11. It starts UK time, so it's going to be about 3 in the morning, isn't it, by the time it finishes?
right? Right. That's a late
Yeah,
one.
it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm not really cheering on either team as well. I just hope it's a good game. I hope it's a close game.
Right. Well, have fun with the Super Bowl, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been great fun.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.